Okay. And Jody, can you confirm, can you all see the slides okay and hear me okay?
Yes, I can see
Great,
the slides
perfect.
and hear you well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll go ahead and start these. And as always, you all can use the chat, or of course, feel free to speak out on the call, and we will, just discuss as we go. We want to have this be sort of a not super formal session. So. Okay. There we go. Okay, so again, this is another one of our office hours for Jobs Plus new grantees, our FY23-24 group, cohort 9. Same housekeeping we've had in the past, where we'll just go around, see who's with us on the call today, and then go over just some key information. We want to put some focus today on work plan guidance. I know folks are starting to delve into that, so just want to go over that somewhat, but then also leave time at the end for you all to ask questions and share thoughts and anything of that nature. Sorry, there we go. Okay, so if someone could just let me know, that way we know who to catch up with if we weren't able to connect today. I'll just go down our list. Charlottesville?
Yes, we're here.
Great, thank you. Eufaula?
We are here.
Great. Fort Wayne?
Here.
We're here.
Thanks. Jackson, Tennessee?
Present.
Great. Jacksonville?
We're here.
Great. New Albany?
We're here.
New Orleans?
We're here.
Oh, you are? Okay, great. I know there was, okay, great. New York?
We're here.
Great. Peoria? Okay, and if we don't connect, we'll follow up with them afterwards. Providence?
We're here.
Great, thanks. San Joaquin?
We're also here.
Great. Selma?
We're here.
Okay, Southern Nevada?
We're here.
Great. And Valdosta?
We
We're
are
here.
here.
Great. All right. Thank you all so much. And I know we have great managers and including Jody, our deputy director, on the line as well. So thanks all for joining.
New York is here.
Oh, great. Perfect. Thank you. So I kept these slides in here. Obviously, these dates are past dates, but just to keep them together, we'll leave those slides in our deck. Just as a recap, the next thing, we're kind of coming up to with our deliverables. One, there's the summit happening September 11th and 12th in Philadelphia. And then in terms of work deliverables for items on the grant, the next thing that's coming up is the draft work plan. That'll be due, again, a draft version of the work plan October 1st. So just, again, make sure that's on your radar, on your calendar, and more to be discussed about that just shortly. And then also on the horizon, and I know everyone is talking about this and working away on this, is hiring your Jobs Plus coordinator or selecting your Jobs Plus coordinator by November 1st. And then towards the end of the year, again, items we're going to be working on, getting more details to you on, are going to be a site visit with your grant manager and other head staff. Should be November, December, and we are working on more details. Much of it has to do with travel funding and availability about what those visits would look like. So stay tuned for more to come from us on the site visits, and of course, what would be involved in the site visit. But particularly, we with new grantees try to come out so that we can meet with you, meet with your partners, meet with your, your residents that you're serving before or near to the program launch. So more to come on that. And then December would be having that final version of the work plan so that in January we can be approving the work plan and having you all, ready for a February launch. The other hiring item, as you all know, is that January 1st, having the case manager, at least one case manager, at least one community coach on board. And then again, just a recap of what you're all, we kind of call it the program year, like you're actually, you're implementing what those year periods are. So for your all's cohort, it's February 1st through January 31st. And then ending in 2029, which sounds very far away. Okay. Just a few other status items and reminders is just to keep working through and reviewing and becoming familiar with the materials we've provided about Jobs Plus. We're trying to sort of put that information together for you all in this startup period. Again, that information was largely on August 2nd email. So again, keep working your way through that. Keep talking with your grant manager. We know most all of those calls have occurred, kind of a get to know you introduction call. So again, keep up that communication and you all will be getting into that regular cadence of monthly calls also with your grant manager. But as we've said, always feel free to reach out. You don't have to wait for a monthly call to ask any questions or anything. Concerning the startup budgets, we are we're kind of working through the review process on those. And again, we're looking to get those approved and signed by our leadership about the end of August. And so get them loaded in the lock system. So that by the time something gets loaded, it may be like those first few days of September. We know the holiday weekend is coming up. So stay tuned for more on that. We'll email you all when we have that signed budget and we'll get a copy back to you. So just be on the lookout for that. We've mentioned the summit, and then just kind of the high point here for your all's focus is just that now we're really in a mode to start focusing and pivoting to that work plan drafting. And as we've said, that draft is due October 1st to your grant manager. And if anyone has any questions as we're going, please stop me because I can't see the chat with the screen share. So what I wanted to spend a few minutes doing is to go over a bit more of what the work plan is.
Excuse me, Leah, I did have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
This is Cordelia Parker with the Jackson Housing Authority. Going back to the locks and entering the grant. Do you all enter that from your end and then we just maintain and submit?
Great. Oh, thank you for asking that question. Yeah, we'll go ahead and talk a bit about that. So right now, one thing we've been doing on the HUD side of things is loading your all's award amounts basically into the financial systems. We have to load sort of different pieces of information so that it'll be there and ready to connect with your all's banking information, to connect the two. So that has been happening in the background and is, I think, pretty much complete now. Jody and myself, we're just double checking with our colleagues just to make sure, all the things are there that are supposed to be there. One thing as well, just to remind you all of, is since we're actually HUD headquarters staff, so for anything related to this grant and locks, you all should come to us, alert your grant manager, like if you have a voucher, if you have a, budget upload you need, any of those kind of things. It's different that you would come to us than you might normally be used to going to your field office contact. So just flag on that. But what's happening is we here, Jamie Brown, our CSS director, will be signing everybody's startup budget to be like the HUD official sign off. And then we take that to one of our locks coordinators and they load the funds into locks. And then on your all's housing authority side, the designated individuals in your finance office will then be able to see the grant and specifically the amounts that we have released via the startup budget at that point in time. Cordelia, does that help answer their question? I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I'm sorry. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Did any other questions folks have around that at this point? I think some people, as it turned out, were probably in a decent position because they may already have had that access to that to the Ross area and locks, where I know some some housing authorities did need to go fresh or maybe get clearance for a new person. But okay, if you, oh, go ahead.
I have one question. I had emailed, I think you were in it, when I submitted my locks with Ross, under the Ross section. Now my Ross funding is going to my Jobs Plus account.
Yeah,
Do
is
we
that
ever
Jenny?
figure out? Yes.
Yep. And actually, thanks. Yeah, Jenny's with Eufaula, and I think you all had to sort of set up fresh. Jody, actually, I can email you what we found in the system. Jody was looking into that this morning, so I can send that to you.
Okay.
I think it had to do with the timing and that it appeared that it was like an overall change of the banking account, which of course isn't what was intended. So long story short, it can be fixed.
Okay.
And we can send you those details. Jody,
Okay,
do you
that's
want to,
great.
Jody, if you're still there, did you want to add anything to that for the group? If not, that's okay. I just wanted to
Oh, no,
pause.
thank you. And I was working on yours, Eufaula, this morning, as Lee mentioned, and the Jobs Plus grant funds are not in locks for you yet, so I don't think it'll be a complex fix. It looks like it was just processed as a banking change, so I don't believe complex at all. And I randomly have checked some of your other of the checked locks for the others, Lee. I was just doing that this afternoon, and the Jobs Plus is not there either for those that I have
Okay.
randomly checked for the new grantees.
Okay.
So I just wanted everyone to be aware of that the line item might, the Jobs Plus may not be in locks yet. We're working on it.
It may not quite appear yet. Okay. And
Yeah,
we're sometimes there's, as you all probably know from other things, just with the systems, there's like a processing time for the systems
Right.
literally to upload. And then also we're double checking. Sometimes there's something else that someone needs to, I'll say, just connect in the background, you know. So yeah, it should be really shortly that it's visible. But yeah, if y'all have any more questions, let us know as we knit all
Okay,
those
so you're
things
gonna-
together.
You're going to send me information regarding what I need to do to get it fixed.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. You're
And-
welcome. Thanks.
And Lee, I just have one other question. This is Cordelia again. Because this is our second go round, so would we still need to send the other documentation? Would we then just still use our same? Our same information would be a different.
Yeah, I would think, I think unless you're needing to add a different finance office person to have that access, you should be okay. And then it's just a matter of, you know, adding the new grant, it'll be a new grant in there in addition.
Forwarded to voicemail. Please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
Can you all still hear me?
Yeah, I think we just had a little technical glitch there, but we're okay now.
Okay. I thought,
I think
uh-oh,
it's
what button did I hit?
Yeah, no, I think it was just an attendee off mute, but we're good.
Okay. Okay, gosh. Sorry, guys. Sorry, everyone.
Don't you love Zoom and Teams? It's so fun.
And then I'm always nervous to touch anything. I'm like, uh-oh,
Yep.
what happened? But Cordelia and Jacksonville, yeah, I think since it's your second grant, you all should be in there still. I think the only issue would be if you need, like I said, like a new staff person to have that access. That would maybe be the difference if they don't already have the Ross program area access.
Okay.
But otherwise, you should still be set up, and it would just be then that there's a, you know, each Jobs Plus grant has a different grant number. So it would be you all having a new grant, you know, a different grant number.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. No, okay, good questions. Okay. Any other locks, money, startup budget? Okay. Again, we really appreciate y'all working with us and answering questions that we had. We're really just trying to, you know, like we've said, get that money in place so you all can use it as you need to. Okay, great. So concerning the work plan, just to highlight a few things, and all these things are going to be in the guidance the work plan guidance document that we sent out. You'll see this flagged in here, but it just so I know people every day, I know you're really busy and there's a lot of information you're trying to process. So we just try to point you back to where the information lives. So we had provided it in an email from August 2nd. So you'll find that on there, this work plan guidance document. The information I'm talking about today is, don't worry, it's all captured in there. It's just we wanted to bring some of this up to highlight for you. Since this may be, the first time you all are doing a Jobs Plus grant, Jobs Plus is a little different from other programs that you may have worked with in the past. So we give the grantees the work plan guidance document to, as it sounds, give you all guidance on how to develop a Jobs Plus work plan for implementing your grant. The work plan itself the purpose of it is to document the grantee's plan for implementing the Jobs Plus program and the grant. It's also to be the basis for for you operationalizing your program. We want it to be a useful document that's basically telling, here's how we're running things. And then also the purpose is so that you can have documented what are your goals, what are your strategies, what resources are you using, and what are the timelines. Okay, some key information to have in mind and to just kind of highlight here is that the work plan is, of course, grounded in the three-part Jobs Plus program model, the employment-related services, the JPEID rent incentive, and then the community support for work concept. So again, you all know that well from the NOFO and going through that process and the application process. But of course, in implementation, we always need to make sure the Jobs Plus program model is being used and followed. It is different than other programs. Jobs Plus is totally unique that it has this 100% earned income disregard for the 48-month period. The community support for work component is unique and different from other programs. So just keep that in mind. We want to ground everything in that model. We want to also make sure the work plan is still grounded in that original application and the commitments that were made in that application. This is not to say things can't be refined or changed, but it still needs to be, grounded in what was originally selected by HUD in accordance with the NOFO to be funded. And then, of course, as you'll hear us say time and again, make sure it's grounded in the NOFO and the grant agreement. Again, we don't have our own regulations, so we live by the NOFO and the grant agreement, and then any other guidance, that kind of comes from that. And so, like I just mentioned, the application is really your starting point for preparing the work plan. And as we've also said before, just remember that, us selecting the application for award isn't necessarily a full endorsement of everything that was in that application. Doing this work plan is the opportunity to further develop those details, those particulars. Okay, we're actually going to run this now. Let's talk details and really refine that program strategy. We also recognize that those applications were written now many months ago, and there are other changes that have just occurred since then. Something could have changed with one of your partners. I also know people have been noting, maybe some cost indicators have increased. Maybe you need to revisit some of those budget numbers. Changes like that are okay, and that's what you will propose in your work plan. So again, obviously, just be sure to read that guidance and follow it. We try to give, kind of a lot of walkthrough on like, in this section, here's what you should be talking about, answer these questions, that sort of thing. So just be sure to read that work plan guidance and follow it to put it together. We don't have like a HUD form number work plan template that you have to fill in. The idea with Jobs Plus is that, while we give you a lot of parameters, the housing authorities still have a lot of discretion to shape their program, how they need to shape it to make it work well. So in turn, how you put the work plan together within our parameters, maybe you want to make it look a certain way. Maybe there's something else that's useful for you all. So just know there isn't literally a HUD form number you need to fill in for the work plan, but we will give you guidance. We're going to send you some examples from past work plans that you can look at just for an idea to get, a sense of what it might look like. Again, we will always emphasize, you'll always hear us do this. These are purely examples. They are not required. We want to make sure you all are, kind of doing what you need to do to make the work plan relevant for you, for the program you're going to run. But do know we'll email you some samples, some examples. Okay, a little bit about how we work on a yearly cycle. Again, this is a 4.5-year grant, so we're going to be working with you all for a while, and we know that the work plan and the work you're doing may need to change a bit over time. So one thing that we do is we actually approve the work plan and the budget that goes with it each year. We don't release the whole grant. I mean, y'all are seeing this already with the startup budget. We don't release the whole grant all at once at the beginning, but rather it's approved year by year. So just be aware of that. And so what we do is that, we send out a request yearly approaching the end of your program year that'll ask grantees to please update their work plan. We've been really honestly trying to do this just through like red line revisions, because sometimes, it may not be necessary for a housing authority to do a massive overhaul. Maybe they just need to refine a few things, maybe one partner changed, something like that. So we look at it as more of an update year to year to reflect changes that you need to make in the next program year. And with that, sending in any budget revisions that you need at that point in time, along with any other, appendices that are part of the work plan. And the other thing we emphasize is that you do just keep your budget, like the work plan and the budget need to go hand in hand. And so that's one reason why when a budget revision need comes up, we need to understand the why of it. Because again, like if you need to change the amount of money you have because you've changed an initiative, then, that needs to be kept hand in hand in the work plan itself. Maybe that means you need to make a work plan update, that sort of thing. And then what we do is then we'll review that on that yearly cycle and approve the budget revision and release that next year of funding. And then the other thing too is just like the work plan is going to be kind of a basis for your conversation with your grant manager as you go, month to month through the program. And this is some information that comes out of the grant agreement about HUD approval. And these items really, they sort of make sense to address through a work plan development or revision. So, but the things that are sort of by the grant agreement deemed significant are program schedule changes, like significant schedule changes, changes in a BLI that's greater than 10%. An extension of the period of performance, like maybe you need to extend your grant term. Like, we certainly needed to do that for grantees because of COVID. There may be some other circumstance where we need to request and review a grant term extension. If there's any material change to the MOU that you all have with your area workforce board, since again, they are statutorily your primary partner, any change in the case this isn't, not as many housing authorities do this, but sometimes case management is secured, out of house. And so if there's a change in the entity that provides case management, that would be an instance. And then any loss or replacement of committed funds, which were identified for purposes of rating and ranking the grant, the leverage section of the grant. And that gets back to like if there's a significant change, it's going to alter that 25% minimum that's required for Jobs Plus. We need to pay close attention to that and make sure that that amount remains fulfilled. Maybe a leverage commitment from a partner changes, maybe you need to get a new partner, that sort of thing. But like, we just have to make sure the amount of funds generally remains the same, and also just for fidelity to the selection that was made through the grant application. Okay, so in the work plan guidance, it's divided up into different sections. It's going to explain to you things that I've said today about what the purpose of it is, what's it about. It'll give you a list of resources to use, many of which is what you already have. And then also it'll lay out literally like here are the sections, the admin section, your services section, etc. At the different portions of the work plan. And then lastly, and we have this little note here, please remember there's a set of appendices that are appendice documents that go with that narrative work plan you're going to be working on. So that might be a schedule, org chart, the budget is technically an appendices. There's a partner service matrix. There's several items there that you'll see. As noted, we'll give you all some examples to take a look at just for reference. And then also we'll probably spend a little time, I'll pause in a moment and see if there's questions, but to pull up what is the Jobs Plus budget workbook. It's like a multi-tab workbook because we just want to make a couple points about that when you start working on it as well. It's going to be, the workbook you're going to keep using very actively over the years. So I want to make sure to point out a couple things. One, just making sure to always keep using our Jobs Plus budget guidance, program staff, finance staff, etc. Being aware to provide detail, sub-line item detail in our details tab, making sure not to override the cell formulas that we have in the budget workbook. It kind of makes life a little easier to have the cell calculations in there. And then also being sure to include your match and leverage information in the workbook. Okay, so any questions about what I've talked about so far? Okay. I just want to show to you so you can just have an eye on it. Oops. Sorry, hold on. I want to show you the work plan guidance. Let me just switch the screen. Okay, here we go. Should be coming up. Okay, so this is the work plan guidance document that I've been sort of speaking about just in summary here. So again, it's going to walk you through what to include, what the work plan's about, and then here are the different sections that you'll see that are included in the work plan. You'd be writing about your vision, program goals, administrative items like your staffing specifically, and amongst other things. Technical assistance you might need. We know many of you have already been kind of pondering that and considering maybe where you need some TA help. Partnerships, who are you partnering with to provide the services and other supports, local accountability structure, outreach and resident engagement, community support for work, the Jobs Plus earned income disregard, resident employment and income, educational and other services, data collection, and then don't worry, for you all, number 13 and number 14, it says initial transition planning and initial sustainability planning. When you read through that, you will see that we know this is a placeholder section for you all. We know you are just starting your grant, but we want to go ahead and include it in the structure just so people, again, have it on kind of the long-term radar. Maybe you already even have a couple notes on, the long term, and especially maybe some of our repeat grantees, they've been through this once, they may already have some thoughts that they're beginning to put together in very early stages, of course, of like, what might we do in the long term post grant, to help sort of sustain the good work we've done. So again, recognize that's not going to be a full-blown section. It's more of an initial placeholder spot. So don't worry. There's a budget narrative. And then this is just the list of those appendices that I was talking about. There's the budget workbook, overarching program schedule, org chart, service flow chart, which is like, when someone comes in the door to work with your team, what is sort of their flow of experience? Who do they talk to first? Where do they, how are they referred? That sort of service flow chart. The service delivery matrix, which is really an important item. Again, we have verbiage about each one of these, but really laying out your partners, who provides what, who's doing what role, so you can really optimize their time and your time, and to the benefit of the residents. Program assessment forms, any script or language around JPEID. And that's something, we do ask you all to share with us, just because we want to help sort of keep an eye out for, maybe some potential pitfalls. We'll say this more than once, but a hard lesson learned was, I probably already said it, I don't know, to not use the word rent freeze. That has been something early on that, just for purposes of being concise, sometimes got used, but it's not accurate. And so, led to some mistrust and challenges with implementing the rent incentive. So again, it's helpful to kind of get on paper and look at what language is going to be used around the JPEID. And then lastly, we have a table for you all to enter your information about your AMPs into. And this has been really particularly important, especially where we have sites that have like sites within each AMP. We have basically multiple physical places, to really make sure over the whole term of the grant, everyone is clear on like who, where, how many are being served. So that's been something we've added in the last couple of years, might be new to our repeat grantees. And then it talks you through resources. Like I mentioned, you all have these items. And then we don't have to go through every single part here, but each section is going to look similar to, I'm going to actually scroll just to the admin, just to show you kind of what most of the sections look like. But, for each one, it's going to say, describe the strategy, plan, resources, and timeline associated with, and then it's going to ask you about several areas. Tell me about your staffing, include XYZ information. Tell me about your decision making. Tell me about your case management ratio. Of course, this is a really big, important thing with you all, working on the hiring right now, like you all are. So again, each section is going to sort of walk you through a set of items to talk about. And the aim is to give you guidance kind of around what's meant, and please, what we need to have included in there. Again, all with the idea that this is going to help you all operationalize and run your program. And so again, each section follows that kind of format. We'll email out a couple samples so you can kind of see how people commonly lay this out. Most often folks have sort of laid it out like each section is sort of a table, where there's a column for strategy, a column for plan, so on and so forth. So we'll send some of that around for y'all to take a look at as you work on that draft. Okay, so any questions about that so far? Okay. I know everyone is still digesting and taking it in, but I know I've also heard, which is a great thing, that folks are starting to work on their drafting. So that's excellent. Okay. So now I'm just going to open it up basically for more questions and discussion. Any topic, doesn't have to be about the work plan. It can be about another topic, eligible uses, hiring, or it can just be, how's it going? We, of course, would be happy to hear any other questions that may have come to mind or things you all are thinking about. Whether it's startup, work plan. Okay. And also, if anyone, particularly thinking of our repeat grantees, have any words of wisdom or insights they had over time, feel free to share also. Just
I can go. Hi, I'm sorry. This is Michelle from NYCHA.
great. Hi, Michelle. Thank you.
Housing Authority. Hello. I would say, particularly with JPEID, just like start from the beginning, and particularly working with your property management offices so that they have a plan. What we didn't do last time, which I thought at towards the end, was like to give people, like, if it's like maybe a quarterly or annual notice on like this is the savings you have, because it really helps people realize like, oh, there is some savings with the JPEID on their rent, but also to help them get ready early, because there is that cliff, in the traditional former EID, there was that kind of phasing period, and that kind of, getting people prepared, like it's going to jump up in year 4. But if you start in the beginning of the stages, have them think through it, really work with the financial counselors to really, I think those quarterly or annual, whatever, however you're going to do the reports help, because that can be a conversation. What are you doing with your savings? Or, this is, put this away, because then, 4 years or 3 years or whatever, this is going to change. And I think that is something we wanted to do last time more intently, but because we also had a contractor, so there was like PII kind of issues where we couldn't share everything. And so now being able to work directly with our property management office, get them up to speed, and help them prepare, and having those same conversations, I think will make a big difference.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, those are great points. And we'll again try to put these discussion points into some notes to send back around. But yeah, that's a great thing to elevate again, is about that early connection, as you're working on your org structure inside of your agency, to like, how is Jobs Plus going to work in our agency? Because it isn't just only limited to touching resident services. It is, you have to work with property management, you're working with your finance, maybe you're taking a broader approach, about, I know people have given this example before, when you're out, maybe it's the maintenance staff there who are people who are actually on the site. Not that they need to inform people of Jobs Plus deep details, but just to say, oh, did you know about our Jobs Plus program? Having that as part of that figuring out of your internal structure, that property management piece is incredibly important, what that flow of information is going to be. And that idea of like that annual notification to the residents to sort of just say, hey, look what you say, look what the benefit for you has been from that. That's a good idea. We have, and then the financial counseling. Yes, definitely. Oh, Jackie, I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
If you're finished with that portion, I was just going to say, if you have the opportunity to do a focus group with the residents before you actually kick off, and if there's some type of service that they would like to see brought on site, if you can work it out with your partners that you can bring that service on site, that would be awesome. Because there's nothing better than making the residents feel as though this is a program they helped create.
Yeah, that's a great point to emphasize, Jackie. Thank you. And Jackie's with Jacksonville, one of our repeat grantees, because yeah, that helps them definitely be in the process, and part of the implementation. And then also just make sure you all are making good use of your resources. Again, I'm sure this is not new information to any of you on the call, but one thing, sort of a lesson learned, or just ongoing thing to work through as a grantee, is how to make sure your partners feel that their time is being optimized, and best used, when they come on site or come out to do, provide a service of some sort. And then of course, to make sure your residents feel like their time is well used. And so, going back and doing a focus group and making sure you understand a needs survey, with the residents definitely is incredibly important. The other thing to remember is, that would have, there was supposed to be some needs assessed in order to submit the application, right? Now, again, many months have gone by, and it's a great point to make sure you really are responding to the needs that your residents have, because you don't want to spend a lot of time and effort and partner resources to set up a schedule that then it's not what people need, or people aren't interested. So, and of course, things are going to change, of course, as over time, but just to make sure you're starting from that good point, That's a good idea. And making sure they know that your residents know, like, hey, we got this grant and here's what we're doing to move it forward. You know, like Jackie said, a focus group needs, checking in on needs. It's a great point.
Leah,
Yes.
this is Cordelia Parker again,
Hi.
with Jacksonville. The OEID program would not have any impact on this particular new grant, correct? Since it's
Correct.
ended and we don't have to use any of the information as a basis for this new JPEG information, correct?
Yes, you were correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so I'm sure like you all may be pretty familiar. The EID sunset occurred some months ago, kind of the ending of that traditional public housing earned income disregard or disallowance. And yes, Jobs Plus, kind of the concept of its Jobs Plus earned income disregard is based on that, kind of parts of that original EID. However, under Jobs Plus, it's been separate, and you all in this cohort do not have to. You can still do the Jobs Plus earned income disregard. We were sort of grandfathered into that, and we have a structure and a tool for that. So good question. As you all may be aware of the EID ending, you all are still good to go on doing the Jobs Plus earned income disregard. And we will, couple things. I've sent around this video. It's a document with our video links in it that hopefully folks have gotten to take a look at. So literally we have this nice JPEID 101 in here. Our colleague Jason Amaraji is the person presenting on that. It's recorded from a couple rounds ago when we've done orientations, but it still holds the true information to kind of what is JPEID. So this is one where we would definitely say, like, your program, your staff working on this, particularly your property management folks, should review this, watch this this video. And we provided the slides that went with it, give some examples, kind of back to Michelle's point, to be thinking about how do we make sure our residents can kind of see and hold and, have a tangible understanding of what the numbers are going to be for them. So we have those slides also. So that you have. We have attached, there's a Federal Register notice that mechanically sets up the rules about participants have 48 months max to do the rent incentive or the end of the grant, kind of whichever comes sooner. We of course hope that our residents engage and sign up to do the rent incentive earlier so they can hopefully have as much of that 48 months as they can. But of course, some people may not be in a position to start doing the earned income disregard until maybe, partway into the grant. So just have to kind of do your best to strategize with your clients, the timing of that. But in addition to this video and the guidance that we have attached and provided out to you all, we are going to do sort of some future sessions around JPEID and the JPEID tool. We're going to have a session at the summit about JPEID, and then we're also going to be doing, we're going to be highlighting the tool somewhat there, but then we also will have a separate virtual session with our TA provider about the tool. So we'll have more opportunities coming to kind of get a bit more nuts and bolts about the tool that we have that Jobs Plus grantees can use to track the JPEID. It gets to be a mouthful. But yeah, great question on that too. Any other questions around that?
Lee Jessica from San Joaquin Housing Authority.
Hi, Jessica.
I just wanted to inquire if there was any updates or any guidance this year regarding phase outs. So as you kind of conclude your program, families who are highly, successful go into either a flat rent or a income-based rent. I know with our housing authority, we did struggle with the fact that we could not put anybody on a flat rent if it was outside of their annual certification. Is there any new guidance that may have come out regarding that, or is it something that could be built into your admin or your ACOP at this point?
Yeah, we don't, as far as transitioning out and kind of that process, we don't have Jobs Plus specific to that. Basically, it's, at the end of that term or that person's 48 months, it would be, the JPEID ends, and then would go back to what the governing situation is, I guess, with the ACOP. So if that is something you as a housing authority need to revisit or explore, I think the ACOP would be the place to do it as far as post. Same thing, we're going to have a session at the summit about transitioning out of Jobs Plus, and I think there should be some discussion around that. And of course, we hear some of sort of the best practices of just early communication, really sort of detailed communication, just to kind of show people numbers so people really see what the change is or would roughly be. And then definitely that financial piece that many a grantee highlights are definitely sort of important for preparation to that. But I think if there's certain changes, the ACOP is usually where we refer back to for the housing authority. But certainly, as y'all have more, especially those of you who've kind of gone through the ending process, if there's more questions, thoughts, ideas, send them to us, because that might be something we want to look more into, or see how we can make more connections about as more grantees go through the program. Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Let's see. I think we covered, I had noted down a couple things we were maybe that I had heard a couple questions about, but I think we've covered those. And we will. Okay. Any other things y'all can think? Oh, go ahead.
Leah, this is Cordelia Parker again. If we have another couple of staff that we need to add to being able to be on these calls, can we just email you?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, that's a great transition. Any other contact updates, please do send them our way, particularly to your grant manager, and maybe copy like the Jobs Plus at HUD.gov box. And that way we can make sure we keep things updated in our contacts. So we can make sure, we get our invites going, and, keep all our items listed together with who's involved with each grant. So yeah, thank you for that. That's a great question. Kind of brings me to our last slide here, kind of next steps and reminders. Again, we've covered most of these, but just to, again, continue working your way through our guidance materials as you work through the startup period. We do have those videos, of course, as you've seen, the startup guidance, the work plan guidance, and then everyone's favorite, the budget guidance, along with other pieces as well. We have the data guidance also, et cetera. And then again, as we've said, just keep in mind, we are now pivoting to the work plan drafting. Again, it is draft. So, after October 1st, and you submit that draft work plan to your grant manager, that will still be a conversation. You all will, the grant manager will review the draft work plan. You all will discuss feedback, etc., so that ultimately we can get to a final version by the end of the calendar year in preparation for your launch in February. We'll be sending out some more example documents, and I'll send the slides around from today. Again, stay tuned. I'm hoping to have the recordings available so y'all can watch them pretty soon. We'll share those when we have them. And then we do have a couple more office hours. Right now we have them scheduled up through the summit, and then we'll look to if we want to, keep up doing office hours following that as well. Obviously, keep working with your grant manager. Again, feel free always to reach out, have questions. It's certainly to be expected in the startup period that maybe we need to talk more often. We are setting up monthly calls, but during the startup stage, it is pretty normal that we maybe need to talk more frequently or check in on something or discuss something because you're in that startup mode and trying to bring a lot of pieces together. Again, we'll let you know when you have an approved startup budget and when you should be able to be seeing things in ELOCs. And so just keeping up that internal coordination for yourselves and your finance office colleagues, so you have a good, flow of how your all's communication is going to work. And then, like we said, just let us know if you have new folks you need added, new emails and roles that we should add to our list. And then otherwise, just the summit coming up on the September 11th and 12th. Any other things anyone can think of? If not, that is okay too. We can always be done a little bit early. Okay. Okay, I'm just checking the chat real quick here. Yep, okay, I don't think I see any new questions. Okay, well, if unless anyone else has any other items to add, we can let you all go a few minutes early. And again, really appreciate your time and all the work you're putting into this. And at the end of the day, all the residents that you are helping improve their lives and their outcomes. So thank you so much for that, first and foremost. And thank you all for your time. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great
Take
weekend.
care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.